Okay, we are going to continue on with our tutorials in the wonderful European techniques of metal leaf. The last one we did used metal flakes, which is the easiest way to do it. You don't have to line up any sheets of metallic, and it's kind of free form, lets a little bit of your background show through, and it's a really easy and fun and entry-level metal leaf look. Now we're going to go out on a branch a little bit more and try something that's a bit more challenging, but also very, very fun. We are going to use metal leaf that comes in sheets. I'm going to use the silver today that they carry at Vintage Market Design, and this one is Speedwell metal leaf in the silver look. It's a composite, which means it's not completely silver. It's got some other metals in it. It also means that it's affordable, that you're not going to have to sell your car to do a little bit of full finishing. This metal leaf is the type I really enjoy. Some of them come in a box, and when you open it, the leaf is very loose. And if you use air conditioner or any air movement, it starts floating out in your home or your office or studio. This one is actually attached to tissue, so it makes it much easier to place and lay down and not have it move around on you. So what I'm going to do is start out with my sample board that has 2 coats of pearl gray on it. And we're going to do kind of a muted color effect here. I'm going to do the silver and the gray and the blacks. This is a look that would be really nice in a contemporary setting. We do a lot of shabby chic and French country. Every once in a while it's kind of fun to see what we could do that would go with the new contemporary looks that are out there. So to start out with, I'm going to take the Atelier Glaze in Noir, which is the black. And this is a substitute for the traditional way of using a size to attach your metal leaf. The water-based glaze has no odor like the old blues and sizes did, and it still gets kind of tacky after a few minutes and does the adhesion like you want, but you're not breathing any harmful fumes, you're not using anything that's bad for the environment, and you're getting a really lovely layer of color underneath your metal leaf. And again, this one's going to be silver and black. And you don't have to worry about having even brush strokes or laying the glaze on in a way that looks attractive by itself, because we're really not going to see that except for a little bit shining through the edges. Even less than we saw when we did the flakes, because we're going to be using the big sheets. So you want to put that on, and it does have a sticky consistency to it, but you want to let it sit until it's kind of tacky. So you want to be able to have it dry to the point where you can touch it and not really see a fingerprint, but still have it kind of feel like it's going to grab your skin and not pull it off, but be a little bit tacky to the touch. So I'm going to let that sit for about 10 minutes. It's good for us here in New Mexico. 10 minutes, and it's in the 90s right now. We're filming in the summer. 10 minutes will take it to the point where it's still tacky enough to grab my metal leaf, but not so wet that it's going to make a puddly mess. You don't want to do it when it's still super wet, because then you'll just end up with a puddly mess. So we'll let that dry for a minute. Okay, we're back after letting our Noir glaze dry. Not completely dry, but I'm going to kind of shake this back and forth, and hopefully you can see the surface. It kind of tells you when it's ready to go to put the metal leaf over it. It's not super shiny and wet looking. There's just a couple high places where there's more of the glaze that still looks shiny, but the rest of it is barely half wet, and you can see it's not doing a fingerprint when I touch it with my finger. And I always like to use the ring finger because you don't have as much pressure there, you won't mess it up. That one's good to go. And just as we did with the flake, I would not do too much of the glaze ahead of time. Do like half a drawer front, do the metal leaf, then do the other half. If you get too far ahead of yourself, it's going to dry and then you're going to have a mess. I really like this metal leaf that they're carrying that comes in the sheets. I was trying to think of the name of this, and it's actually called Patent, when it has the tissue behind it, because when you get the type that doesn't, you open the box and it starts floating around the room and you're chasing it. And this one is attached to the tissue, so you usually can get it to come off with the tissue. There you go. And I'm going to keep the tissue on the back so that I can lay it down, and I'm going to try and line it up evenly, and then you can use the tissue to rub it and not have the oils from your skin mess it up. And then we'll take that tissue off. Line up my little piece that came off there. And then I'm going to use a dry brush. And in the old days they used squirrel hair brushes. I don't know why. So it's soft, I guess. And I'm just going to lay that down, and the brush will pull off the extra for me and leave the rest of it. But it's soft enough that it's not going through the metal leaf and tearing holes in it. Metal leaf is not for the weak of heart. You have to have a lot of patience, and you have to be willing to work with it. I'm just going to go ahead and take one off the tissue so that I don't get too dry. And I'm just going to line it up there very quickly and use the tissue to pat it down. The oils in your finger very often can mess it up and put a hole right in the leaf, so it's always nice to have a barrier in between like this tissue. Okay, good, that worked. And I'm just very softly going around. And what happens is where the brush hits the end of the glaze where it's no longer sticky, it kind of pulls it off. So you don't have to cut the edges, it does it for you. And see, I just said you have to be careful they're not getting your finger on it, and I just did that, so you need to pare that just a little bit. There we go. So if you do that and you accidentally stick your finger and the oils pull the leaf off, take one of your little scraps and put it over it right away and use your brush to lay it down. And 9 times out of 10, it comes out just fine. You can see, we used to do entire ceilings and walls with this. It's beautiful on a lamp, a chandelier, a picture frame, a tabletop, if you have a little cocktail table. It's just a real wow because the entire surface is metal leaf, and there is nothing that shines like this. Metallic glaze, metallic paint, metallic plaster, none of it has the glow of the metal leaf. So we need to let this dry because I don't want to go into it and ruin my perfect surface here. So we're going to let this dry. Then we're going to go back over it with the black wax to give it an antique look and lightly take that off with a towel. And then we're going to do our semi-gloss clear coat to maintain this beautiful shine. We'll be back.